Wow. Hello. How you doing? It's a rainy day in London today. I hope the wind isn't causing too much of a problem. Today is Sunday, the 4th of October, 2020. The temperature is around 12 degrees, probably as low as 10 degrees. It's been raining for the last couple of days. Yesterday, Saturday, Friday, and today, Sunday. So autumn is truly here. The time now is about 10:30 a.m. in the morning. We are in, let's say, North London, and we're actually under a cinema canopy or cinema hallway. And the interesting thing is, yesterday they had put back the release of James Bond movie to next April. So October, November, December, January, like 5-6 months. So the October release of James Bond, I think it's called Not a Good Day to Die, or Die Another Day. It's been put back for another 6 months, and because I'm under the cinema canopy here in North London, they also made mention that a chain of stores, not stores, cinemas are actually gonna shut down the cinemas because there is not enough people, and they're gonna sack a few people, and because not so many people is actually going to the cinema. So once again, it's been raining for a couple of days. That's why I got plastic over my my hat here. And as you can see in the background, it's a rainy day in London for the last couple of days. It looks like today it will continue raining. We have a storm, or a kind of storm, which is hitting the United Kingdom. So down here in London, I think we get the least, but up in the north, they get it the most. So once again, it's the 4th of October 2020. It's Sunday here in London. Temperature is about 12 degrees, 13 degrees. It's a bit cold, and raining and wet, and it's been like that for a couple of days. Yesterday's news from the US. The US president has the coronavirus. Yeah, let me repeat it. So yesterday, the president of the United States of America has actually got the coronavirus, and he's actually been taken to hospital. And the last news is that he's actually he's been given oxygen. So it shows, that's an indication that his situation is deteriorating slightly, and so you have to watch the situation within the next 48 hours, because you can either recover or it can either get worse, or the thing with certain ailments is that you can recover, and then a short space of time after that, you just crash into being very, very, very sick, or or it can take you out completely, you know. So that's America. America's virus has never actually gone down. It's been continuously high from March, and recently they've had the convention, and they had the live broadcast where we had the opposition leader Joe Biden and Donald Trump go head to head, which was like a fight in a playground with two kids. It was really great television, great television, but not a good look politically. And a couple of days after, Donald Trump has gone into hospital with a coronavirus. Plus, they are, and plus they're trying to trace the people that he's actually been in contact with, because he may have been very contagious at the time. So one of the things they have in mind, and is to trace all the people he's been in contact with within the last 48 hours. Yeah. The good thing is they turned on the lights there. I don't know if you can see the ceiling, but they've given me a little bit of extra light, you know. Check the shadow here. Yeah, so what's showing today? 9:15, 19:15, 13:30. Okay, so they're gonna so from 2:30 today, the cinema here is gonna be open. No, 1:30, 13:30. So from 1 o'clock. So the cinema I'm outside of here in North London. So about 1 o'clock, they've already got people in there. Probably preparation and cleaning and making sure food is being stocked up and all that kind of thing. So 10:30 a.m. right now, going on to 11. Pouring down with rain here in London. So yeah, back to America. So Donald Trump has got the virus. He's been taken to a special hospital, and where he can operate as president and still be able to get treatment. And the news is that he's been given oxygen, which has been denied and counter-denied, and I have a friend of mine who had communicated with me. I had communicated with him, and he is on the tip of because the Prime Minister Boris Johnson had the virus. It seemed to have worked well for him in order to get sympathy and get the people behind him. And there's a lot of people feeling that Donald Trump is playing the same game. But from my point of view, that is secondary. The first point of view is that he is in trouble health-wise. I'm not saying he's in a critical. It's not being reported that he's critical. And then again, if he was critical, they probably won't tell us. Not until many days later or what have you. It's the nature of the beast. So that's America. All right. So with that now, with my good friend, he's saying that it's a conspiracy theory. A lot of people don't believe that the virus exists. Um, a lot of people don't like wearing the mask. A lot of people don't like the lockdown. And there is protests in America, and there's protests over here in the UK. Just a couple of weeks ago, that the people was out on the streets protesting that they don't want to wear the mask. They don't want to this lockdown. They don't believe in the lockdown. It's harming the economy. It's harming people's mental health and the other side effects of being locked down in a virus. So not only in America, but in the UK, and I believe over in Europe as well. There is a great movement against not being in lockdown and not wearing any mask and going for the protective thing about the virus. So there's a great backlash against that. But meanwhile over here in the UK, yesterday's figure was an infection rate of 12,000. Now this is higher than when we went down into lockdown in March. So the average, the peak then was like around 7,000, but yesterday's figure, or the day before, the figure went down to 6,000, and today or yesterday it jumped up to 12,000. So that meant the following day, the day before, the like about 2,000 tests from the day before. What wasn't from the day before, so they added it on yesterday, and so the figures are up to 12,000. So my averaging is that the figures are now around 10,000, and the figures tomorrow for today is going to be probably slightly less because Sunday and the weekend the figures are usually a bit lower, and the Monday it jumps up because the weekend, because people are not working and people are not the weekend thing, so it's usually a bit lower. So we are now in a stage where last week we've been told that that if you can work from home, avoid traveling, avoid people. We have a rule in central London or around the southeast of England that the maximum amount of people that can be gathered together in one place or in groups or clusters is 6. But further up the north of England, you can't have anybody outside of your household. You can't meet or mingle with anybody outside of your household in any circumstances, inside, outside, or cafes or restaurant. So the north of England is in a different lockdown situation, and some of the counties and places in the north of England, you can't leave the area. Well, I know that definitely for Wales, right? There's certain places in Wales you can't leave the area, not unless it's for a very good reason. So there is no movement out of Wales generally. So I am prepared to go into a second lockdown because the infection rate has now increased to 10,000. Well, yesterday is 12,000, but let's say on average it's 10,000, and it is higher infection rate than when it first when we went into lockdown in March. Now, on my reckoning, by the end of next week, the thinking at the moment is that the figures are doubling every week. But my reckoning is by the end of the week, all right, it's going to double. It's going to more than double because it's really accelerating at a very fast rate. For my money, this is the most infectious time. And in London and part of England, people are just carrying on like there is no infection, you know, because they now reach a stage of fatigue. You know, it's like this is too much. But this is where I think the virus will get you. If it didn't get you the first time, right, it will get you the second time. Well, it's got the president of America, and what I've heard is that he's a germaphobe, which means that he keeps himself very aware of germs and keeping himself sanitized and clean. So if he's that type of person, then because it's managed to get to him, it is now not necessarily, it's now increasing in America. Now the other thing about the UK, whereas we are now in the 10,000 per day infection, is that we are in autumn. You see this weather here, okay? So within the next couple of weeks, people with respiratory illness, the cold is going to start affecting the older people. So this is going to accelerate the situation that we're in. So I think more than by the end of the week, so today is Sunday, in the next 7 days time, it's not going to double, it's going to like quadruple, because this is not a linear thing, it's exponential, and exponential just shoots up almost in a straight line. And so add the weather to this, and it looks like it's going to be raining for at least the next few days. So we're going to have 5 and 6 days of damp, cold weather, right? So those of you who have a weak immune system, who have a position to this kind of weather, it's now going to kick in. Whether you got arthritis, whether you've got some respiratory underlying sickness, this is now going to get you. Plus, add the virus to it. So I believe by the end of next week we are going to go into a more serious lockdown. You know, so it was at the beginning of September, beginning of this month, we had an easing in the lockdown. We only really had an easing in the lockdown for literally 2 weeks before the restrictions were increased because infection rate was increasing. But at the moment, the death rate is only in the 60s and the 70s, and it's going up and down, 50s, 60s, 70s. But with 10,000 people infected on average a day, there's going to be a lag of, let's say, 15 days where you're going to actually see the mortality rate start to increase. But this time around, because the doctors and the medical profession have learnt from the first lockdown or the first wave how to handle the situation, there's more likely to be less casualty, because they know how to handle, and they've learnt from the first wave of infection in March. And so the infection rate would increase, but the amount of casualties from that, the mortality will actually because they have learned how to handle the situation, should be less. But we don't know. We don't know. On a more personal note, I find people are more emotional, and you are really going to see the not necessarily panic in people. Actually, last week we were more things were announced. So, not wearing the face covering, not wearing a mask in any premises, there's a fine. There's a higher fine of they're chucking things like £10,000. Gatherings and organisers of parties, they'll be fined up to £10,000. Right. So there's a more higher penalty for not following through the procedures. That's enforced. That was announced about 7 days ago. Right. So in the next 14 days, I believe we're going to have a much stricter lockdown here in England. In some places, they have got a much stricter lockdown. They can't even leave the area. Only essential services are operating, and only essential workers can go to work. Or if you're working, you can go to work. But back here in London, things have some kind of normality. Now, there's no such thing as normality, because things have permanently changed forever now. Some businesses that haven't been functioning for the last 9 months are ceasing to function, and some businesses are chucking in the towel because we've been told that this situation will continue for the next 6 months. So that takes us into March next year, which is going to really take us into a whole year of serious restrictions, and some businesses haven't been able to function, so they'll be chucking in the towel. For me, taking it into March next year will take it into 1 year and 3 months, because I've been watching this for from December, from when it hit in China. And China, I reckon, is about to take probably a second blow, because all the people that China has been isolated, they're going to reach a time where they're going to have to take them out of isolation and ease off the restrictions. And because the virus is still in the world, it will come back again to hit those who are vulnerable in China. So I believe China is going to get a second wave, because those who've been in isolation and the strict quarantine and lockdown, after that is eased, because the virus is still in the world somewhere at some time, it will come back. So it's ravaging India, it's ravaging Europe at the moment, it's ravaging England, it's ravaging the USA. It's constantly burning high in the USA, and India. China has managed to get it under lockdown, but immediately when China eases off, it's going to come and hit back again. So China is good, but I believe it's going to come back. It's going to hit China with a vengeance. But China is very good in locking down everything. So I'll say watch out for that. So back here in the UK now, on a more personal level, last week we had people stocking up again. First thing they were stocking up on is the toilet roll, so it's eased off now. I think people have bought enough stuff, so the shopping thing has got back to some form of normality, that there was a panic. But as things every day, I'm believing in the next few days, we're gonna, or probably by the end of next week, I believe the Prime Minister is gonna announce some stricter lockdown, because there is an increase. The increasing infection is it's over 10,000, and it's higher than when we first went into the first wave of the virus lockdown. The casualty rate is going to be less, because we're now better at looking after people who are in critical intensive care. So we have found better ways, and better treatments, and so the casualty rate isn't going to be high. But there is still going to be infection, and okay, we are in an unknown. But what we do know is that the infection will increase, and with weather like this, it will continue to increase. And on the economic part, a lot of people who were furloughed, as in the government giving them money to stay home, that comes to an end in a few weeks' time. And the Chancellor has said no more substitution for the businesses in this pandemic. So businesses will go to the wall, people will be unemployed, and we don't know what other economic money that the government will give to people who are vulnerable. We're back into winter again. I see more people, or we're back into autumn. I see more people on the streets, homeless, sleeping rough. I don't know what the government policy is going to be for that. So it's all unknown. So from a rainy London town, after about 2 days of rain, the President of America is in hospital with the virus. The infection rate is over 10,000 here in the UK, and we don't know what's going to happen next. So I'll catch you up on the next webcast, podcast. So be safe, stay warm, and wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay away from people.